So much news involving the administration lately. Let's discuss these with political strategist Malou Tiquia, who joins us again tonight. Good evening, Malou, and welcome to the big story. Long time no see.
Good evening, Seth. Good evening, Sean and Pauline, and good evening to your televiewers. Thank you for the invite.
Let's zero in first on the rise in PBBM's ratings, a 10% increase. What did he do right?
Well, he started going around and meeting the people, talking to stakeholders. He was more visible now. He was not inside the palace. He was reviewing things, inspecting projects, and essentially talking with the people. So I guess that is a far departure from what he was doing before the campaign.
On the other hand, VP Sara remains still the most trusted official in the land. But on the other hand, 7 in 10 Filipinos still want her to face the impeachment charges. How do you interpret the seeming duality in
Well,
the...
but since the impeachment is something pending, a lot of people would want to see the finality of that. There's so much drama and debate between the House and the Senate, and recently the Supreme Court entered into the frame. So I guess there'll be more delays, and a lot of Filipinos would just want to hear her explanation, and probably end this and move on, because the issues that are hurting Filipinos are essentially economic.
How about her continuous... She had a 1% uptick in trust rating.
Well, the trend, I do not want to comment on SWS survey. We did our own survey, which came out July 9 from the period 27 to 30 June. It's 1,500 respondents. The trends are the same. The president is able to recover. The vice president, there was in our case, there was a sudden slide. But she remains the highest approval and highest trust. These things may differ depending on the time frame, but what remains constant across all surveys is the role of the impeachment, the role of the ICC, and the role of the summons that the impeachment court decided before the end of the 19th Congress. If you look at it, these three would actually be the most pressing issues affecting the overall performance of the vice president. In connection with the president, it would appear also that anything Duterte has a direct impact as being the most pressing issues affecting the overall performance of the president. So, the unity really affected both. Not the unity, the sudden departure from the unity affected both. So I think we will see that until the end of this term, and whoever is able to capture the ability to rise on the challenges of a divided leadership will probably be able to weather the storm politically.
Okay, we also have Malou as a development, our fifth PCO secretary in 3 years. Was this really necessary? I mean, the survey results came out, right? And they show an improvement. So how can Dave Gomez, the new secretary of the PCO, improve on these numbers?
Well, Mr. Gomez is a good friend. He knows his comms, very steep in strategic comms. He came from the private sector, but he had a time with, I think, the Philippine Star when he was starting his career. Interestingly, he is the fifth. But if you're going to review the terms of from Secretary Angeles Grafil Chavez Ruiz, it's only Secretary Grafil who was able to go beyond the 5 months. She was able to clock in 2 years, but the rest, Angeles was there for 4 months, Chavez for 5 months, Ruiz for 5 months, and Dave Gomez is just there for 5 days. what does it tell you? It tells you that it's not the problem of the people being appointed as PCO. I think it's essentially the problem of the institution of the office of the president. How would you want to be communicated is a problem that baffles them probably since day one. We have not seen a president do a national address on critical issues. We have not seen the president engaging on a national discussion on issues. Recently, we've just had this press briefer who's really, is not doing communication at all. She is, I have often say that her joining the PCO is the lowest level of presidential communication I have seen in all through my professional career. Because presidential communication is really an art. You need to go back to how I started during my inaugural, explain where are we now based on that inaugural, build on the bricks, brick by brick of the SONA. And right now, we have someone explaining. She's a briefer, no? You have to communicate. You have to explain programs, projects, funding. But Undersecretary Castro has a default blame factor, and that is Duterte. If you're going to count the number of times she has been doing her briefing, and you correlate the number of times that Duterte has been mentioned, there are more Dutertes mentioned in every briefing than anyone ever who has done presidential communication in the past.
Right. Certainly, she does keep the Duterte in the headlines. And what does this mean for the vice president? Is it actually a plus or a minus for her?
Well, in political management, whether it's good or it's bad, when your name is always presented on a daily basis, I would chalk that up as being helping her brand, whether it's negative or positive, because she is given a chance to rebut. It's interesting the way they responded to the problem in LA. Because when I heard your report, there is one person who came out asking the palace to explain the First Lady's role in the death of the Rustan's heir. And that is Senator, the sister of the president. So is she now calling the sister of the president fake news peddler? Is she now calling the sister of the president, obstructionist?
You beat us to asking that question, but anyway, go ahead.
Go ahead. A detractor.
Sorry, I'm segueing to that because I might lose that chance of, it's really problematic. And I hope Secretary Gomez reins in Yusek, what's her name? Castro. Yeah, because there's so many names given to her. And, if you're an explainer, you need to maintain that neutrality and that being above the fray. Hindi ka naman tindera sa sari-sari store eh.
But she did point out, Malou, that the police report that was circulating on social media was not...
she basically called it fake.
Yeah, she
straight
called
up.
it fake.
Yeah, but what's the best way of trying to address that? Why don't they write a letter to the LA and seek a report? The investigation is not yet finished. And the best way really to rebut such an issue is take a hair follicle test. And that would rest, all this issue percolating for the past 3.5 years. So there are ways of explaining it. But, when you go around, trying to, do a drum roll of whatever kind, it's not serving the institution of the presidency.
Well, you're right, Malou, because a lot of the criticism on the PCO is that they're very reactionary, they respond to all these issues. But how can they strike a balance between communicating their agenda and also not letting disinformation proliferate? All these narratives that are hounding them.
Well, come up with actual facts. Come up with documentary evidence. Don't just stop at labeling something as fake news or false narrative, or that is not true, or by default that is done by enemies of the president, enemies of the first lady. That's not true. People care about this country, and whenever you make your stand and you make sure that you are there to make that stand, it's because people love this country and they want something positive out of the last remaining 3 years.
Or
Who
as
would-
picturing them as obstructionists.
Yeah, I mean, seriously? Commenting is being obstructionist? Isn't she the one being obstructionist because she is not communicating?